Hey everybody, today is Friday, November 20th. My name is Will, and these are my thoughts. Okay, so I realized after I put out the video on Monday, kind of explaining where I was going to go with Seamless Transition, that I probably need to do a follow-up video relatively soon, just giving a little bit more detail about the book itself. And part of the reason that I didn't include some of that information in the first video is because I didn't know it, and I didn't know how far along we were going to be able to get in the process, or if it would happen at all. So I'm glad to say that 4 days later, we have a little bit more information and that I can give you a little bit of an update about how things are going. And this video is going to break down into two parts. First, I'm going to tell you a little bit more about the book. And then secondly, I'm going to tell you more about how fundraising is going and where we're headed with that. The book is called Seamless Transition, which I've said a couple times already, but you can never say it too many. That's just good marketing right there. But it is a book primarily about football coaches. And even if that doesn't sound like exactly your bag, I'll explain just a little bit more. The inspiration for this story came primarily from two places. The first was a phenomenon that happened in a few different cases around the 2010 mark. And it was in college football. There were a few pretty significant coaches around the country that were getting a little older, and programs wanted to ensure that their long-term futures were going to be secured. And the way that they dealt with that was to secure a long-term option while also keeping the guy that had been there for 10, 15, 40 years happy and around. And the solution they came up with was something called a coach in waiting. That term triggers something for you. It's probably because guys like Will Muschamp at Texas and Jimbo Fisher at Florida State both had that tag at various points. And if you're familiar with the term, you're probably also familiar with the fact that it did not go particularly well in at least one case, and you could make an argument that things were messy regardless of where it happened. And I found that story really interesting at the time and still do. I think it's really fascinating to look at how power gets transferred and how people and groups and teams move on from people who have put them in a successful position for a long period of time. My Alabama Crimson Tide, for instance, are about to have a reckoning with that, whether we as fans would like to admit it or not. And coincidentally, around that time also, there was something happening in the world of late night television that was a pretty direct parallel to what was happening in college football. There are a couple of really good YouTube videos that explain this a lot better than I can, and I'll put those in the description to this video. But around that same time, Leno's contract was running out with NBC, and it was determined by the higher-ups there that Conan O'Brien was going to take over for him at The Tonight Show. That, of course, happened very briefly, but when ratings started to get to places that NBC wasn't necessarily comfortable with, they, of course, went back on what they told Conan and replaced him with Jay Leno. That is a grossly simplistic depiction of that story, but like I said, if you want to get the whole thing, go look at that YouTube video. It's fascinating. There's a reason that I was so interested in the story in the first place. I don't want to give up too much of the game there, but those were the two primary inspirations for writing this story. And just to give you a little tasty taste of what is actually in the book, I'm going to post the first chapter. It's not very long. The chapters in this book are like a page and a half, 2 pages, up to like 4 pages. I'm going to post the first chapter on my website, and a link to that, if you're on YouTube, will be in the description of this video. And if you're on Instagram, it will be in the bio of this page. And the book isn't exactly a novel, but it's also not a novel. It'll end up being somewhere between 55 and 60,000 words. Just as a comparison, the first Harry Potter book is like 76,000 words. So you can tell it's not, it's not a super thick book. But that doesn't mean it isn't expensive, because getting a book edited, especially professionally, takes anywhere from about 3 cents to 6 cents per word. So even on the lower end of that, if you do a quick bit of math, if you have a 55,000 word book and it's 3 cents per word to get it edited, that adds up pretty quickly. which is why I set the fundraising goal at $3,000, because most of that is going to go towards getting the book edited. And we are off to a great start with the GoFundMe. Since Monday, I've just been so happy and humbled that we've had people chip in, and it's given me a lot of hope that going forward, we're going to be able to reach that goal and, pay for the things that we need to pay for. But we're not there yet. Just to give you a little example, we're at a little under $300 now, which, again, if you do a quick bit of math, pays for not a whole book. So if you care about this project, if you want to see it come to fruition, please contribute. I've had a couple of people ask about an option besides GoFundMe. So if that's not necessarily your thing, you can go to my Venmo here and donate directly to me there as well. Now, I will be coming out with a more traditional thoughts video on Monday, but just based on having worked on the book a good bit this week and making the announcement on Monday, I wanted to be able to give you a little bit of an update so that you can get excited about it and tell your friends and hopefully get them on the team as well. Thanks, guys. I appreciate your support so much, and I'm really looking forward to the day where I can hop back on one of these videos and tell you that this thing's going to happen and that we've gotten everything we need and that it's going to turn out the way we want. I'm Will. Those are my thoughts, and I'll see you guys on Monday.